What's going on, guys? Welcome back to another episode of Stereotherapy. I'm your host, Lisa. Of course, Justine is my partner in crime over here. And welcome to episode 84. On this episode, we were joined by Jordan Suaste. This was such a wonderful conversation surrounding self-love and acceptance. And it was the right episode at the right time. For me personally, I know Justine, and we discussed Jordan's latest release, Maybe I Already Am, which you should all be listening to right now if you are not already. We discussed mental health in the industry, just so many things, and I want to get right to it. So here is our conversation with Jordan Suaste. Thank you so much for taking time out of your day to want to come on our podcast. It's one I've been looking forward to ever since I know Nate reached out and wanted to set this up. I appreciate you taking time.
No, thank you so much for having me. I'm really excited to just chat with you guys today. And yeah, I think it's going to be a lot of fun.
Yes. Oh, and that was one of the things when I just found out everything you're about. I was like, this is one of the really great artists to have on here for music and mental health and just your new release, just everything. So, I mean, we'll get into it because I know you have a busy day probably, and we'll do that. So, Justine, if you just want to go ahead and kick it off with Jordan.
Yeah. And before we officially start, can we ask what pronouns you prefer most so we just know what to use whenever we put anything in text and everything?
No, of course. Okay, that's the fun. Okay, this is great. Everyone always asks me this question. And I'm always like, I don't know, like because it's like it's such a I'm okay with anything like he,
Okay.
him, they, them. A lot I actually let's just go with they, them.
Okay.
Yeah, let's just do that today.
Okay. No, that's fine. I always like to ask because I also have a lot of friends that are non-binary that they prefer they them, but they're just like, it's fine. Everything's anything you want to use. And I'm like, well, what do you prefer? Because so I always like to make sure that before. So let's go
Thank
ahead
you.
and get started. So we always love to ask everybody that comes on this question because we're always curious to hear what everybody has to say. What are your first memories of falling in love with music?
Oh my gosh, that's a great question. I don't know if anyone's asked me that. I think that I don't, you know what? I think when I was younger, I think I always loved music. Like my mom said I came out of the womb like singing, like, "Rah, rah, rah." Like I was like, I'm gonna be a singer, mom. But I think that when I was younger, there was this little book that I have. I still have it somewhere, and there was like a big star on the front of it, and I ripped off the We Will Rock You" song. I was like, "We will rock, we will roll, we will change the world." And that was literally like, I don't even know how old I was. I think I was like 7. I was like running around the house singing this, like, I was so convinced that I had written like the next big hit. I was like, that's right.
I
Seven
love that.
Jordan.
I, I love that. I have not too similar, but a little. I don't know if you remember this because I know you're a little younger than I am, but there was Cool Shaving Ken, and you could shave, Ken could be shaved. That was his thing, the Ken doll. And instead of Sheryl Crow, like a change would do you good, I would write a shave would do you good. And I would just go around my house making songs like that. And somewhere on video, my mom has it. And I hope, like, I don't know, maybe I can find it one day, but little moments like that. And then look where you're at. I mean, obviously, you can sing, you can write music. I can't at all. Like, this is why I do this. But it's so wild how those little moments like that. And I truly do think you are someone that is changing the world in such a way, of positive way. I know listening to your music, I was like, again, this music needs to be out here right now.
Thank you. Thank you so much. That really means a lot to me. I think it's kind of it's cool. It's really like odd to me because it's like when I'm writing these songs, I'm not necessarily going in with like a this might sound weird, but I'm not going in with the intention of like writing this song for everyone else. It's more like this is how I feel. And like it's both really cool, but also like really upsetting to me that people like relate to that. I'm like, I'm so sorry. Like but I'm grateful to help, but I'm also anytime anyone's like, "Oh my God, I love your music so much," I'm like, "Are you okay?" Sure. I'm like, "Are you sure you're doing okay right now?"
And I will say that, like, even listening to your latest release, it was like, I'm going through some stuff right now. I'm in those feels, and listening to it again, I had to go back and be like, if I posted this like on a Facebook status or something, these lyrics, somebody might ask, like, are you good? Are you okay? And but that's what's so great about music and that power of it, that for how you write the music, someone like myself or Justine or anyone else out there that follows you can have such a different feeling about that like one song that you wrote about from your experiences, but they can have like 10 different experiences from that one song. So I think that's so special.
Yeah, no, 100%. I think it's one of my favorite things about music is that like you can really take a song and interpret it however you want and like with your own life. And I just think that's so beautiful. And so thank you so much for saying all those kind things. It's like,
Yes.
a little woo.
Yes, and I'm kind of going back to like a younger you. I know you're originally from Utah and now you're in LA. So, I mean, I know even me moving from the Midwest to now being in New Jersey, close to New York, that was a huge leap. But I can only imagine Utah from LA. So, for you, what was that transition like moving there and that experience for you?
Oh my gosh. Yeah. Salt Lake City to you. Oh, yeah, Salt Lake is a bubble. Listen, I love Salt Lake. I'm obviously born and raised, but like culture shock. Let me tell you. I was like, oh, I never actually wanted to move to LA though. I was kind convinced, we'll use the word convinced by my label and management team at the time. They were like, if you want to do music, you have to move to LA. And so I was like, okay, this wasn't what I was planning, but like, let's go for it. And so, it was a lot. It was a lot because I was only 20 years old. I had just moved out of my parents' house for the first time, like a year before that. And I didn't know anyone when I moved to LA except for like my immediate label team. And so I didn't have any friends. I didn't know anyone. But I will say I learned like a lot from the experience, especially in comparison to like being in Utah. There are just so many people here and there's so much like I think it was the moment that I realized I'm like there's so much more like out there than like what I've been around my whole life. And I think that it was really hard, but it was also probably one of the best things I've ever done and I ever will do, you know?
Yeah, and again, on a different scale, I can relate to that. Like moving out here when I met my fiance and he was in New Jersey, I was in Illinois. And again, I knew nobody but him. So it's like one of those things of it was the hardest thing because you leave your comfort, you leave everything you know. And especially with music, like everybody said, you have to go to New York or LA. Those were the two you have to go. And I see that, but it's like moving out here, the first 2, 3 years were so rough for me because no friends, no family. I'm in my 30s. So, like, where do you go to meet people? What do you do? And just that. And I remember visiting LA and just, it was really great, but it was so intimidating. Even for me, I was like, oh my gosh, I don't know if I could ever live here. It's beautiful. Like, I love the mountains of California. I love the vibe, but it just is so intimidating. So I admire that about you at a young age doing that because again, like in my 30s, it was one of the hardest things to pick up and relocate everything. And just kudos to you for that.
Okay. Well, you did it too.
Yeah.
So,
Did it.
uh,
Yes.
but no, it was a lot, but I understand what you mean when it's like, whoa, what do I, because I was like, at 20, I couldn't go out, like, I
Yeah.
couldn't go into a bar. So
No.
I was like, I looked for like a fake ID and everything, but I was like, I don't know where to find one of these.
Oh my gosh. Oh, those were the
So,
days back in the day. Like I feel bad how like even saying back in the day, but yeah, back in the day for me, whenever I wanted to go to like concerts or anything or shows that were 21 and over, that's what I wanted a fake ID for, not even the bar. I
Mhm.
was like, I want to go for
Yeah.
music. And people are like, why would you want a fake ID for that? Like you could do so many other things. I'm like, I don't know. That's what I want to do. But
I
yeah.
mean, back in the day too, like for shows, if you wanted to be able to stay later for a chance to meet them, they wouldn't let you stay unless you were 21 and older, which was like so silly. But they would kick you out as soon as they saw they're like, you have an X on your hand, get
that's
out of here. And like people that were 21 and older could stay and hang around a little longer. So like that was another part of it too. It was like, I don't want to ID or drinking. I just want to be around the band.
it's so funny. I didn't even know that was a thing. Sorry if I keep yawning, by the way, too.
Oh, it's okay.
I'm like,
You are all good. It is Monday after all, right?
So we know that Sam Smith is a huge inspiration for you, and I can definitely hear it in your music. Can you tell us how they inspire you?
oh my gosh. I mean, they're just my favorite. Their music has always just been like I know like every word to every song. And I'm like, I can't say that about every artist, you know. But Sam Smith, since I was like young, like I was always like, I want to sing with Sam Smith one day. I want to like meet Sam Smith. And I've had the chance to now. And so it's been like it's been crazy. Like In the Lonely Hour was the record and is the record that still gets me through. Like every time my heart is sad, every time I'm heartbroken, anytime I feel alone or like lonely, it's like that record is literally like one of the best records of all time to me. I think that it was just, and they're just so amazing and such like a queer icon now too. And I love seeing
Yes.
them like out and like just like being able to like being like a Sam Smith fan for so long and watching them come out of their shell more and more every release cycle and then getting to Gloria and just having like this big like oh, I think it's amazing. They're an icon. I love them so much.
Yes. Oh my gosh. I've loved that too. You can definitely tell that they're officially just in their actual personality and their space, and they're doing what they love, and they're being the true selves. And I love that. And I love seeing that growth.
It's the most amazing. It just makes me so happy. I'm
Yeah. Oh,
like crying
definitely.
about
I know.
Yeah, I remember, I don't know whether it was VMAs or some award show, and I saw Sam Smith just come out, and I forget the performance, but there was a lot of red. So I'm like, I'm losing like what the song is and what it is. But I remember seeing just the presence of, I remember where they were at in their start, like we were just saying, to now, and just that evolution, even for me, just as a music fan, it's like, look at them. They're up there, they're doing it. And whether people like it or not, I mean, I'm sure some people maybe didn't prefer that, but for me, I was like, yes, that's what I love in an artist. And that's why I loved having you on and knowing that we were going to talk about Sam Smith, because we have not yet talked, and such an important artist to so many.
Oh, I'm just an icon. I love Sam.
Mhm.
Oh, you don't understand. Every time that's literally
I love that though. I love when people like yourself are getting like that over an artist. Like that's what we love. And that's like with this podcast, the importance of music and mental health. Like to have an artist get you that way where you're just like, oh, like, oh my gosh, like
oh yeah,
that.
I
It's
totally get
perfect.
it. I am like in this like I don't want to say stan world, but it's like I'm a fan. Like I'm an artist, but I'm a massive fan. Like if some of these people, I'm like, oh my God, I can't believe you're real. You know?
Yes.
Yeah.
Went to a barbecue with Billie Eilish, and I love Billie Eilish, and she was just
Oh,
there.
oh
And
my
when I
gosh.
tell you, I was like, I do not know how to like. It's because she's so amazing, and she's
Yes.
Yeah.
artist, and I'm like, oh my gosh. I just like it's funny being like in this music world and meeting these people like in person because it's like you're like real, you know?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, your music has helped me through so much that it's like, how do I even like get that to you, you know? And it's
Yeah. I've thought about that before too. I'm like, what if I were to meet people like this? Like if I were to meet Billy, I would cry. Just, she'd be like, why is this old lady crying right now? Like, because we did an episode about Billy after her last release, and I got to, because Billy has been an important role in my life. So, like, I was sobbing on the episode. I was like, I'm sorry, everybody listening. Her music just means so much. So I can't imagine if I were to be able to be like face to face with like Billy or anybody else that's just affected me so much. I would probably just be blubbering like all over the place. It'd be embarrassing.
relatable though. I feel like so many of us feel that way. Like
Yeah.
music is just so powerful, you know?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
I know. And I have to thank Justine because I was late to the party on Billie Eilish. I was one of those people that everybody was like, you have to listen to Billie Eilish. I was like, oh, wait, I'll see it. But this last record was the one that I was just like, jaw on the floor. Just, okay, I get it. I am late to the party. And I'm so glad I'm here because I have to see her on this tour she's doing because I don't know how I'm going to get there, but just, yeah. Sam Smith, Billie Eilish, all of those. But it's amazing to talk about the artists that inspire you or that you love so much. But we have to talk about your music. You just released Maybe I Already Am. And I think one of those things, it's about a lot of self-love, a lot of acceptance. For you, what are you most proud of this release?
Oh, I mean, I'm just glad that I got to finally put out a project, you know, like it's
Yeah.
been I started just posting TikToks in the beginning of 2020 as like I had lost my job because of COVID, because I was an esthetician and I can't do like facials or any of that like during the pandemic, obviously couldn't do it. And so I just started posting, and the whole time I'd like written, I had an EP done in 2020, and then I had another one done in 2021, and then another one in 2022. And so it's like it's gone through just like years of trying to put out this project for the my for myself and for my fans. And so it was really just kind of surreal to be like, oh my gosh, after years of fighting to put out something, and like after years of going through like dealing with the major record labels or dealing with like getting out of a deal and like going through management and stuff, like it's just been like the music industry is I so much. It's just too much. Like I'm like it's ridiculous. And a lot of it has not always like it's not always been the best experience. So I'm just very proud of myself and happy to finally be at the point where it's like, I did it. You know, like I got to put something out that is very me and is very like what I wanted to say at that point in time. And so I'm just very proud and happy that it's out in the world finally.
Yeah, I can't imagine again, like I hate like just saying, oh, you're so young, but like to at a young age to go through that in the music industry, because that was a big reason when I either wanted to go to LA or New York, because I was like, oh, I want to work in the music world and be behind the scenes and help everyone. But being in Chicago and kind of getting not on the singing aspect or as a musician, but even on the back end and dealing with the music industry, I was like, I want no part of this. This is not for me. It's going to make me hate music. I'm out of here. And then now, years later, doing this, but at least it's in my own way. I can't imagine navigating the music industry, being young, and just you hear about so many people, whether it's Taylor Swift speaking about the music industry and what goes on and signing contracts and this and that. And just, I can't imagine the toll that would take on your mental health, even.
Oh, I mean yeah, it's a lot. It's a lot, a lot, a lot. I was 19 when I signed my first record label deal, so it was like I had no idea what a publishing. I didn't know anything. I didn't literally didn't know a single thing about the music industry when I signed my deal. And so I think that like it's also such a universal experience. Like this is not like a thing that's like just a me thing, you know, like I've talked to so many of my friends who've had very similar experiences and like gotten with a label and then dropped by their label or like just like I think that people it's really I don't know, it's kind of sad to me. I feel like people go into music loving it, and then a lot of the time the industry will just like they'll just get swept off their feet kind of and have to like trudge along throughout the whole to even survive in the business because it's so cutthroat, which is wild because I feel like music should be about like connecting and love, but I don't think that it always, unfortunately, isn't always the case.
Wow, perfect. I'm like, that's the clip. There's so many clips so far where I'm like, I'm gonna need to clip this, for the reels, for that. That's so, I love how honest you were with that because some people we get on here and to each their own, but I think you're one of the first people to say that about the industry and a very real thing, again, that so many I know will relate to for sure, because just hearing that, it makes me sad to like know that the industry that I almost was a part of and then had to back away from is still, there's still things going on today that are like that.
Oh, I mean, yeah, I think it is sad. But I do want to say, like on a positive note, I do think that a lot of things are getting better, and there are a lot of people, especially creatives and artists and like songwriters, who are out here like really fighting the fight for it. And like even Taylor Swift was a good example, like what she's done for the songwriting community and like has been a real voice for change. Like I do think that things are getting better, especially like with apps like TikTok and like Reels, like making it more accessible for independent artists to really thrive. I think that like there's a world where hopefully things get better in the industry.
Yeah. And even to talk further about like self-care and acceptance and self-love, because I know it's something I struggle with. And I don't know about you, Justine, but I think we can
Mhm.
all do that. What have you learned in your own self-love journey that maybe if someone's out there listening or listens to your music and maybe they're struggling with that? I mean, again, we're not professionals, but we've all gone through it. What, I guess, advice can you give someone that's maybe struggling in their own self-love journey?
I think that, oh, that's a hard one. I think there's just so many, I think, ooh, I think loving yourself is hard. And I think that that's something we all need to be like aware of as we continue to try and love ourselves. Like it's a daily practice and it's not something that just like happens overnight. Like, oh, I love myself. Like life is full of waves, up and down and up and down. And sometimes like you get a really high peak and a really low low. And I think it's just remembering that it's okay, that it's taking time and like to give yourself that grace and be patient with yourself. Cause like you don't, it's a process, it is a process. And you can hit this point and be like, oh my gosh, I love myself so much and I'm so good. And then something will happen and you'll realize, whoa, actually there's a lot of stuff here that I still am holding on to that I haven't let go of. And so it's like I think that life is continuously growing. And I think that like just give yourself as much love as you would offer to someone else who is struggling, like and be patient with yourself. I think that's the biggest thing is to me is just like give yourself some grace because you don't always have to like be like I'm good, you know.
I needed that. I needed that. Like this weekend before we got on, I always talk with Justine. We check our audio and everything. And it just has been a time in my life. I'm in one of those waves right now and those bumpy waters. And I use that analogy a lot about the waves. I'm like, we're all in that boat. And right now my boat is here, but it'll be here maybe tomorrow. And I think, oh, that's just so important. Cause I think a lot of us too forget, like, I'm a big take care of others person and I need to check on everybody. But how often do I not check in on myself? So it's when I see an artist like you that is open and so vulnerable, it's like, that's so important. That needs to be out here because I think a lot of us need that reminder of our own self-love, even when we think it's hard to do. And it's again, it's an everyday battle that should be almost at the top of our list to take care of ourselves.
No, well, I mean, thank you. And I hope that you get to a high point soon.
Yes.
Because I mean it is hard and it's like it's really hard to remember to love ourselves sometimes. Because it's just like there's so much going on in life. Like I just even like the past, I just actually am getting out of like I did like a really intense therapy treatment because I had a bit of a mental breakdown last month and I was like not very functioning. And so the timing of everything was crazy because I was so busy with like the EP coming out and like everything happening. But like I really think that like going through the treatment that I went through, like the biggest takeaway that I had from it was like I feel like the point of life is love. I think that like it's something that a universal experience that we all want to feel in some way, whether it's romantic love or like family love or friendship love, like we all want to be like loved and we all want to experience love. And so I think that we also need to like keep in mind that like we need to love ourselves through that too. And so I think that's just as important as like loving someone else. And so something that my therapist told me, she was like, there's like little yous inside of you. Like there's like the mom you, and there's like the son you, or the daughter you, or the grandpa, grandma you. And it's like sometimes you need to like sit and like look at the part of you that's feeling sad and be like, I see you and I'm gonna give you space and I love you. And like you don't have to be like negative. Like we all get frustrated with ourselves, where it's like, oh, I hate that I feel this way. And I feel like what I learned was that, sorry, I'm like going on a little ramble here.
No, this is perfect.
Mhm.
That you can sit with that part of you that you're annoyed at or frustrated with and be like, okay, I'm gonna give myself the space to feel this and I'm gonna let like whether it's like maybe it's like the mom inside of you that's mad and frustrated about something. You can sit with the mom and be like, okay, you have the space to feel this, and then acknowledge it and like and give it love and then move on. Like it's like it's okay to like I think that loving ourselves is like more than just always being happy and good. I think it's loving the parts of ourselves that are angry, the parts of ourselves that we don't like, and giving ourselves, that's what I mean, like when I say like be patient and give yourself grace, because I think it's all the different parts of us, if that makes sense. Sorry for rambling.
No, oh my, that
Oh,
was
that was great.
perfect. And
Yeah.
yeah, that's one of the things I think I need to hear right now because oh, yes,
Yeah.
I need to clip that for myself and just
I was
keep
gonna say,
that when
I'm
I'm
like,
getting ready in
you
the
really
morning.
need to hear
Like,
that. Yeah.
yes.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Yeah.
So I want to talk about the song Heaven because it's so beautiful and I am a bisexual queer woman, and I've always told people
Right.
that if I'm going to hell, that's fine because that's where all my friends are. And so I really loved and really related to it quite a bit. And on that note, I would like to ask you what you would really like to see more in terms of support for the LGBTQIA community.
Oh, that's a good one. Thank you, first of all. I'm glad that you love heaven. I love heaven.
Yeah.
It's I also always say the exact same thing, which is where the song came from. Was just like, well, it's gonna be more fun in hell then.
Yes, exactly. That's gonna
Um,
be where the party is, you know?
exactly what I'm saying. I'm like, why would
Yes.
I want to go to heaven with all the like, no, no, no.
Yeah, all the stuck up people are up there. It's fine.
Yep.
Stay on your side of the wall, baby. I think we're in the right direction with queer representation, and I just feel like I would love to see more of it. I would love to
Yeah.
see films and like where queer actors are actually acting queer characters.
Yes.
I don't necessarily know that we need a bunch of straight people acting as queer people when there are so many queer people who would love to, be queer in a film, show, or like even like in music and stuff. I think that like we're getting there with especially with
Mhm.
Chapel Roan
Yes.
and like Sam Smith and like all these
Mhm.
artists. I just want to see more of it. I want to feel like I just want it to be like a normal everyday thing. Because for me, I feel like me being queer is not who I am. It's a part of who I am. It's just
Yes.
one part of me, and I want it to just be like this normal thing rather than just being like, oh my gosh, like Jordan is like queer. Like I don't know if that
Mhm.
makes. It's just like where I'm at with it.
Yeah.
I love the LGBTQ plus I like pride. I love it. I'm like, let's all go. We have to, there's a reason that we're so loud,
Hmm.
we deserve to be. And I can't wait for the day when it's like, it's just so normal that it's not even like a thought. It's just like, yeah,
Yeah.
we can just love who we love.
No, exactly. I agree. I think it's a really great time, especially in music. We have so many female in particular that are queer that are open and sharing their stories. We are starting to see more in the, idea of like film and stuff, which I'm so glad to see, especially when it comes to like trans actress and actors coming out and actually being able to be trans in the film because like up until recently like you said it was like straight people that were playing these roles which is just so how many all these years we could have had like so many other people playing the actual roles themselves and I think we're in a great time right now, and I agree. I think we just need to keep pushing forward. And I have the same vision. Like I want to see when it's not a big deal. Like I've worked in childcare for like about 10 years, and I have always been really glad with the families that are open with having me trying to like help their kids understand that. And there's starting to be more and more children's books where you're getting more representation. And I think that is a good place to see that this is starting to move forward when you're starting to see it where we could teach it already at a young age so that it's not a big deal because it's not a big deal. We're all people. So I love what you said. I completely agree.
Also, childcare is that you're a baddie for that. That's great. I could never.
It's really hard, but also really great. So
Yeah. No, that's how Justine and we related
Mhm.
because I ran my own daycare. I used to do that and nanny, and I now watch my fiance's younger little cousin, and it just is like, yeah, kids are the future. And I love that hopefully this next generation is going to grow up with even more of like just love is love and everything. And I know some people are like, oh, that's such a cliche thing, but I think we're in the right space in the right direction. And again, just being louder than those who are just like, we don't need to pay mind to. Let's just be louder than them and drown them out. That would be wonderful.
Exactly.
I mean, I want to talk about one song that got me, like I said, in my feels the one day when I was listening to yours was God or the Universe or something else. That one just, I think whether obviously maybe I interpreted it differently too, like that's what's powerful about music, like we were talking about. And it just is like, man, going through it, hearing that we've all had some of those moments in somehow, in any way. Are you ever, when you're sitting down and nervous almost about like how vulnerable maybe you're getting in your songwriting?
I I'm really good, really, really good. I'm like the best at it. It's kind of like a red flag, but I'm really good at things into boxes, and
Yeah.
think that, like with when I write these songs, a lot of the time, I used to be really, really like nervous about sharing these things, but I've kind of just hit the point where I'm like, my entire existence is on the internet, so I'm like,
Mhm.
anything that anyone wants to find of me, if they look hard enough, they could probably find it. So I'm like, I might as well just be as authentic and real as I can, especially with my music, when I put it out. And so like for God or the universe or something else, like I was literally sitting on my bed at like 3 in the morning crying and like I don't know what else to do. And so like I just felt like I was like, I'm gonna write about this feeling of loneliness. I'm gonna write about how I feel. And so it was never this question of like, should I put this out? And it was more of just like, okay, what is the best way to put this out? Like, how do I approach putting this out? I have another song called Sleep, like, which is like, they're both like really, I'm write a lot of depressing stuff. Just
Yes,
like,
I was gonna say this is like you're really feeling it when you're listening to this in a good way though. In a good way, maybe a bad way, but like for me, it's a good way when I'm letting that out, listening to your music.
well, I'm glad that it can be like this healing thing because it was for me, like, I think that like it was a release for me. And like, I've gotten a lot of messages from fans of like, and it's been so amazing to see that I've been able to like help them with my low points. I always tell my managers and my label people, I'm like, if I'm gonna cry, better be capitalizing on that shit because like I need like, why else would I be crying? Come on.
Yes, yeah. Oh my gosh. Oh, I just love your vibe. I needed this today on a Monday. This is like perfect. And obviously coming up too on the 24th of October, you're going to be playing with Vault Boy. What are you most excited about joining that tour?
Oh my gosh, I'm just so excited to meet people. This is crazy because like
Yeah.
it's literally been like 4 years since I like started even doing this. And that's not even that long, like but for me, it's been like I've been wanting to go on the road for so long. Like I had this moment with Body, and like music just kept coming, and it's like I've gotten so many messages and just made so many connections online with like fans, and like I can't wait to meet some of them. Like I've gotten messages from people who have been following me for the past like 4 years, ride or die, and it's like they're going to these shows, and I can't wait to meet them. I'm so excited. I'm nervous but excited.
Yeah, like I mean, and how do you, I guess in talking about mental health too, like how do you prepare for that? Like going on and getting to open and have that moment on tour.
I don't entirely know yet.
Yeah.
I've never gone on tour before, so this is
Yeah.
a lot. But I'm excited. I'm gonna make it work, and like I think that I'm just giving myself a lot of grace throughout the process and like being like one day at a time, Jordan. Like we'll get there, we'll figure it out. Once I'm in it, I know I'll be okay. Like everything's gonna work out the way it's meant to, regardless of whether I want it to or not. So it's just like I just gotta do my best to be patient and work through it all, and it'll work out.
That's so important. I need to like again write this all down for myself. I need to be told that one day at a time. Just everything will work out. It's okay. Like just breathe. Just breathe.
Remind yourself.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, and we all need that reminder.
So we'd love to end on asking about, we know that you use music a lot for how you help your mental health, but what other tools do you use to aid in hard times? Like some people have said like exercising or journaling. What things do you use that people might be able to take from if they need some help?
First she came over right now, so I just had to like
Oh,
I use my little
Oh,
girls, my
yes.
little Pepper and Olive, my little
Oh
kitty
my
cat.
gosh.
They are my pride. These are my children.
Uh,
So I'm like
I
anytime
have two
uh,
children myself upstairs and probably sleeping in the bed. I have two cats and I have a dog.
the other
So,
one is like she's right there. Hold on. There's both see there was just like
oh
those
my
are the girls, they helped me through everything. I love walking and running and like audiobooks. Oh my gosh. I'm an audiobook girl. That's like my whole brand. I think it's just like fine in baths, like literally the little things like that. Like my cat's baths and going to the gym have just like they help me just keep going because it's like that those things are solely for me. You know, like they're not for anyone else. That's not like, oh my gosh, like because even like my phone is kind of like I don't love it. I don't love my phone because I feel like it's my job, you know, and it
Mhm.
causes me stress and like whereas some people might find like some like relief just like scrolling and stuff, like I can't do that. And so I have to just it's those little things that really keep me together and keep me going and like help me get through the points where I'm really struggling. And I think that take a bath, guys. Listen,
Oh yeah.
take a
Get a
nice
good bath bomb.
a bath bomb, a
Yeah.
bath, some lavender drops in there. Oh my gosh. You'll thrive.
Oh yeah, the candles too. I'm a big candle person with the bath and my bath bomb and just yeah, lavender is the go-to. And I think yeah, we underestimate just the calming, like being in that warm water and the suds and just that environment, how that can change your mood
Oh, it's
instantly.
the best thing. I love a bath.
Oh my gosh. Oh, I love it. Like that's what I have to do tonight. Like I'll just be like, you know what? I need to do it. Cause like that's hard too. Sometimes I think when you're going through it mentally, sometimes like remembering to take time for yourself, like little things like that, that like, again, I'm someone that constantly is go, go, go. And like you even bringing up the phone, like me, I purposely have to be like, okay, no phone like on Sundays in the like by noon. I'm like, all right, it's away from me because it can be such a thing like having our podcast where it's like, oh, you know, you need to make a reel, you need to do this, you need to do that. But sometimes, like again, for me, it's like if I'm sitting there, the scrolling part gets me where I'm like, what am I doing? I'm just like looking at other things and the comparison game. So I think for me, like things like baths and walks, I'm the same way where I need to get out and just get away from the phone. The more the better for me to get away.
Love that. That's so real of you. That's so real.
See, oh my gosh. Oh, Jordan, this has been so wonderful. And I mean, not just because you're sitting here, this is one of our favorites already.
Yeah.
I'm like, this is one of my
Oh
favorites
yeah.
that we've had on and favorite people, guests, just humans like we've had on this podcast.
Thank you so much. This has been a really beautiful conversation. Great way to start my Monday, by the way. Literally. Thank you. And thank you for having me.
And all right, guys, that was our conversation with Jordan. We cannot thank Jordan enough. I know he is very busy these days, and we appreciate the time he took to have such a wonderful conversation. When we talk mental health and mental health awareness, self love is huge. It's a huge part in it. And I think we can all learn and take away so many things from what Jordan said. I have all the links below where you can check out Maybe I Already Am. Please go check it out. It was such an opportunity to get to showcase a different type of artist on here. And that's what I love about our show. We are not just strictly one way. I mean, music is a universal language, and I really hope you guys go check out this release because it is so wonderful. And I think a lot of us can relate in that. As for Justine and I, we will be back on Tuesday with a wonderful episode highlighting From Under the Cork Tree by Fall Out Boy. Really excited about this one. We had a special guest join myself on this. Justine skipped out on this one. She is not a Fall Out Boy fan, but this record is important. So I hope you guys are continuing to listen to great music, and we will see you next time. All right. Bye, guys.